Good?
Yep.
Okay. We're here today at the Newbury Public Library, and today is January the 25th, 2025. Is that right?
26.
2025.
Might
And-
even be the 27th.
Oh, 20-something.
27.
Is it?
Yep, 27th.
January 27th, 2025. See, I've already messed up. I'm Sally Harris. I'm going to be the interviewer today, and we also have Judy LaPorte and Leah McBain and Lynn Wallace in the room. And would you introduce yourself?
Marion DeRoche.
And can you tell us what year you were born and how old you are?
I was born August 28th, 1938.
Aha. And where were you born?
Newport Hospital.
Newport Hospital. And when you came home from the hospital, where did you go? Where was your house?
Where it is now.
Where it is now. On South
On
Road.
South Road.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about your family?
I had a father for a short time, and then he left. Yeah, but my granddad was the best dad I could have had.
Can you tell us your dad's name?
Harry Blake.
Harry Blake. And your grandfather's name?
John Gillingham.
John Gillingham. Was he John Gillingham, the surveyor?
Yes.
Aha, okay.
Um,
I used to carry chains for him.
why she was born in the hospital. She was the first one.
Yeah,
born in the
why?
hospital.
So you were the first child in your family born in the hospital?
Because of the accident with the train.
Which happened before you were born?
She was carrying me.
She was
Mom was
carrying
carrying me at the
Can
time.
you tell us what happened?
And I only have hearsay. I was not able to know what was going on. The train tracks that go across South Road.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they've been pulled up.
Yeah.
Yep.
The train was coming and hit the car,
Mm-hmm.
and so they weren't sure whether I was going to be born alive or dead.
Wow.
So the doctor insisted that she have me in the hospital.
Were you born shortly after the accident?
The accident, I think, was in May, if I remember correctly.
But
and
her
I was born in August.
Okay.
But my mother was driving the car, and so
Right.
they weren't sure whether.
and
Right.
she had a broken back, I think.
Yes,
And so she
And
was
that-
in traction.
Okay. Wow.
so she was in traction.
Wow.
She,
Okay. And tell us your mother's name, because we didn't say that yet,
Martha Blake.
who I remember well. And so you all did you live with your grandparents in the farm?
Yes, yes,
You did.
yes.
And at what point did they is that where they passed away and then your mother took over
Yes,
the farm?
yes.
Okay. Good.
My granddad was in the hospital. He had another accident and he had a blood clot on his brain. So he was in Hanover, and then he was in Woodlawn Manor nursing home
Okay.
for several years. 3, I think, if I recall correctly, but I may not. Because he was paralyzed on one side.
Was
Okay.
that the accident on Bailey Corner?
Yeah.
When Pat was driving?
No. That was another time. He had another accident.
Oh.
I don't remember who was driving then.
Okay. So then you said your dad was with you for a short time, but then he left
He left when I was 3.
when you were 3, and your mom was a single mom at that
Yes.
point? Wow, that's quite a handful.
Yes.
And how did she get by as a single mom?
Well, with my grandparents' help, obviously.
Okay. And was the farm a working farm for you?
My grandfather worked it.
Yeah.
Hayed it. Used to hay it all with the side.
Wow.
And yeah.
He had a poultry. His poultry
Yeah,
yard?
he had his poultry. He had sold eggs, and
Okay.
we sold eggs in many areas.
Did your mother have to go back to work at some point?
She worked at the telephone office in Bradford
Okay.
and Warner
As an operator?
as a telephone operator.
Okay.
Well, she managed the telephone office in Bradford.
Yes.
And there's a picture of her at the museum, at the telephone museum. And she was wearing this polka dotted blue polka dot white polka dotted dress, and now you can see there's some places where you can put your face in the window, and one of them's with Nana's dress.
That's great. Okay, let's see. So you lived your whole life in Newbury, in South Newbury, and how far back does your family go in South Newbury?
1774.
Before that, I think.
No, I think that's the one that Billy has. Billy's gone back a ways. And I think it was 1774.
And was it always in that same farm?
I believe it was.
Okay. So long roots in the area. Okay, let's talk about school. Where did you go to school?
Here.
In Center Meeting House? Center?
Right over there. Yes.
Center School.
Center School.
For what grades were you there?
First through 8th.
Through 8th.
First through 4th.
And then where?
Down to the Friendship House.
Okay.
Which
and
is now
after
the
that,
Friendship House.
Did you go to Warner or?
And after that, we went to Warner. We'd get on the train in Bradford.
Yeah.
Go to Warner, get off the train, and walk up the hill to the high school in Warner
How'd you get home?
on the B&M bus.
No kidding.
Okay, so that's a public long, is that a Boston Maine bus or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that an expensive way to get to school?
I think they had a contract somehow to pick up the kids
Okay.
on the way back.
Okay.
Because you didn't have to pay?
No, we didn't have to.
No, the town paid.
I think probably the town had to pay B&M, but we didn't have to
You didn't have to pay.
individually.
Who drove you to elementary school?
Milford Knoll.
Okay.
So that's Barry and Marty's grandpa.
Wow. And any special memories of the center school? Who your friends were?
Oh, they were just all the local kids in town. Yeah.
So was it 2 rooms then? Was it 2 classrooms
Yes,
then?
it was. First through 4th and then 5th through 8th.
Because they stopped using the Friendship House?
No, then everything moved down there.
So
Do you remember your teachers' names?
Miss Parham was up here,
I thought so.
and Mrs. Cole taught up here too.
Yeah.
Mrs.
then-
Cole?
Then
yes.
My teacher?
The same
Mrs.
and
Cole?
then
Cole.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Cole taught down there.
She taught here in Newbury for 28 years.
Yeah.
Well, she always wore a wool pleated skirt and a sweater set and her saddle shoes. Always. Even when it was hot.
So, okay, let's see what else. Where did you and your family shop?
Usually down to Danforth.
Okay, so Danforth's, do you remember a time when there was no Danforth's, or was that always there?
Well, I don't remember a time when it wasn't there.
Okay.
And there was a Boutwell store, which is kind of almost diagonal from the
Sweet Beets now.
Sweet Beets.
Okay.
Where the yellow building that's Russ's now was a grocery store.
Oh, a grocery store. Okay.
Yeah.
That used to be a grocery. Used to have excellent meat in there.
And then there was a little store down.
Red Front, what they used to call the Village Mart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would I would kind of?
That was at just before the intersection at the
Other end of Main Street.
other end
Okay.
of Main Street.
Where
just
the
before the
historical
folk
stuff
office.
is.
Yes,
The barber shop
yes.
was there. There was a little addition on that building, and there was a great place for candy.
And tell us a little bit about South Newbury when you were little. Was Mrs. Jim's lunch there when you were little?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I used to go pick blueberries up behind my house
Yeah.
and go over and sell them to Mrs. Jim's lunch.
That's nice.
And that was my first job. I used to wash dishes over there.
Okay. So they served lunch there.
They served meals there.
Okay.
Was it a grocery store?
No, they used to carry some bread or stuff like that, but it wasn't a grocery store. It was a post office.
Oh, the post office was there.
It was a post office at one time. And the restaurant.
Okay. Do you remember who the postmaster or mistress was when it was?
It was Mrs. Jim.
Oh, it was Mrs. Jim. And when did that change over to Mrs. Perkins's house? Did it go straight from
Yeah.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
And then she was the next post.
I think that might be because Mrs. Jim's health was failing.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure, but
Yeah.
I think that might be why.
Okay.
Because I don't ever remember a restaurant being there.
No.
I used to wash dishes. That was my first job.
Oh, yeah, I remember it being there.
Did you ride
You
your
better.
Did you ride your bike down, or how did you get there?
Walked. usually.
You walked. That's not a short walk.
I never minded that walk. I used to walk it a lot.
Better going to work than coming home.
Yes.
Walking up the hills is easier than riding your bikes up those hills.
Okay, good.
I never could ride the bike up the hill.
Well,
I
your
always
bike
had to
didn't
push it.
Your bike didn't have gear shifts. You just had one gear.
Me.
I used to like to ride my bike up your hill, except for your dog scared me to death, so I was afraid to go by. So what was the community like for you in Newbury? Did you did you have a lot of friends that you saw? Did you mostly stick around home?
I was mostly home or out carrying surveying supplies with my grandfather.
Oh, did you go into the woods with him?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Can you
I
tell us
treasured
some
that
memories?
time.
Tell us some things about that.
Yeah. Well, I used to carry his chain, which he used to survey with, and his ribbons so that I could flag things for him. It was just wonderful. I would tag along behind him all the time.
And he was married to Lulu, was that?
Yes.
Okay, and do you remember her?
No.
No.
How old were you when she died?
I think I was only like 2.5 or maybe 3.
Oh, so she died about the same time your dad left.
What about community activities? Were there community activities?
Grange.
Grange.
And church.
Okay. And did you participate in both of those?
Well, Grange when I got old enough,
Yeah.
but church I went to all the time.
What did you do in Grange? What were some of the things you did with Grange?
Oh, I don't know. They talk a lot.
Were you in the Rainbow Girls or the Eastern
I was.
Stars? or
I
any of
was
that?
for a short time, but not maybe for a year. I wasn't in that for very long.
No Girl Scouts or
No.
nothing like that? Yeah.
In middle school, you made us do ballroom dancing. Did you have ballroom dancing?
We used to have dancing classes. Yes,
Where was that? Through school?
at the town hall at the town hall in Bradford,
In Bradford.
upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got to mix with the Bradford kids.
Yeah.
The church in Newbury and the church in Bradford used to be together, and so they had the same minister.
But they had two different services.
Two different times
Yeah,
of services, but they had the same minister and shared the expense of the minister.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you did things with the Bradford folks.
Who were did you have some good friends growing up?
Well, we didn't do a lot of going out visiting or anything
Okay.
because we were
Busy.
busy.
How about as a teenager? What did you do for fun as a teenager?
Went to movies or stuff like that.
When you went to the movies, where did you go?
There used to be 2 theaters in Newport.
In Newport. Didn't there used to be
There was a
drive-in?
Coniston and a Latches.
Okay. Did you go to any of the weren't there dance halls or something? People went to
Yeah,
dance.
did you ever go to Blodgett's dance for a dance? Oh,
Never.
no.
No.
And let me see, there was also dancing, Davis Cabins, but it was,
Oh, really? No, I never danced
No.
up there.
And Massasecum had a dance hall.
oh,
and a-
that's
and a
right,
big-
Massasecum.
I think I went down there once, but
But there was roller skating somewhere you told me about that you used to
well,
go
we used to go to roller skating up in Claremont.
You told me about a place down across from
Oh,
Fosse.
oh, oh, oh,
on
oh!
the hill
At the
in
top
Bradford?
of the hill, if you're coming up the back way from Bradford, at the top of the hill, there used to be a roller skating rink
Oh,
up there, which they changed to a dance hall, and we used to roller skate there.
okay. So there was stuff going on.
Yeah.
Some stuff.
But you didn't learn to swim.
Never?
Side
No.
stroke.
Okay. You could stay up in the water if you had to.
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not.
The water's not.
She's got a little bit more loaded down with middle.
This is true.
Are there any special people you remember who contributed to the life of Newbury? people sort of stand out in your memory?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Merle Rich.
Merle Rich. Can you tell us a little bit about Merle?
I didn't know him extremely well, but he was always very helpful to anybody that needed help.
Like David Smith's grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the
Merle's.
there's somebody who told me about I can't think because your grandfather wasn't he also a
She's
selectman
already
or-
getting it. She's already getting it.
Wasn't he a selectman or involved
My
in the state
grandfather was a
government?
selectman. Yes, he was a good selectman for many years.
In Newbury?
My grandfather,
Okay. Because
John
Well-
Gillingham.
what was Lulu from Bradford, I think, originally.
Lulu Cream.
Yeah. Lulu.
They lived in Bradford
Okay.
at one point, yes.
Okay. But you guys were Newbury
Yes.
the whole time. Okay. Were you, I already kind of asked this, but I'll just ask, were you a member of any groups or organizations? You mentioned the Grange and the church.
Yeah. I went to Rainbow Girls for a very, very short time and
Okay.
just
Yeah.
wasn't for me.
Okay. In your, so with the old farm, did you have your own bedroom growing up? There were a lot of kids, right?
There were. Yes, we did. There were usually two of us in a room.
Okay. Who did you share with? Who did you share your room with?
Probably Pat.
Pat. Because Pat is how much older than you?
3 years?
3 years.
3 years? 3 years. Maybe 4. Because Shirley was in between us.
Tell me a little bit about your work life. How did you spend your life working in or out of the house?
I worked as a telephone operator with my mother in Bradford and in Warner. I have worked taking care of elderly people, and I worked at the Merrimack Farm store for many years.
You worked in Sylvania when I think.
And I
wasn't
worked at
it, down
Sylvania
in Hillsborough as your first job.
Oh, yes.
When Scotty was little, I
Yeah.
think when he was 5,
Yes, when he was little.
Mrs. Bushwick took
Yes,
care of
she
him.
took care of him.
Was there a shoe factory or something?
In Newbury?
No, that you did you work at a shoe factory?
Yes, I worked at
in
the
New-
shoe store up in between Newport and Claremont.
Okay.
It used to be a shoe store,
Okay.
and I used to work in there,
Okay.
A shoe
stitching shoes.
factory, you mean?
Hmm?
A shoe factory, you
Hmm?
mean?
Yeah, I kind of remembered.
There were
Yeah.
lots of shoe stores on Main Street in Newport, if I remember correctly.
Shoe stores,
Yes.
but I worked at the
Shoe
factory where they made boots.
Let's see what else. What were the the sun is getting really
Yes,
bright.
it
I'm just
is.
going to get up for 1 second and fix this. There, thank you. I can't see anything. I'm having to go like that. Okay. What were the mountains and the lakes and the lake like back then? Was it when you were growing up? Were they different? Very
Calmer.
similar? Calmer.
Much calmer.
Did you come up to the lake much?
Not a
or
whole lot.
How about the mountain?
No,
No.
not a whole lot. I didn't ski until my kids started
Okay.
skiing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then Liz Folsom and I started skiing.
So, how about some of the big world events? And were there any that had an impact on your life here in Newbury? Things like wars or the moon landing, or are there things that stand out?
No, they didn't. They didn't have a huge effect on my life.
Yeah.
What you were told me about was the blackout curtains.
Yeah, we used to have blackout curtains when they would do blackouts.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Different, scary.
Yeah.
Not horribly frightening, but scary.
Yeah.
You know, because you were sitting in the dark. And
Were there other things that you remember from the war?
not particularly.
Okay.
My dad wasn't in the war,
Right.
so
Is there a reason? Was he protected for some reason? Because he
I
had a
don't have
farm?
any idea.
Okay.
He left when I was 3.
Okay.
I know very little about my dad.
So you never saw him again after that?
Really.
Okay.
He came to the roller skating rink one time to introduce me to my new mother, and I told him I already had one.
Okay.
I was all set.
How would you say Newbury has changed over the years?
It's grown. I think it's grown fairly well. I think it hasn't hurt us a whole lot. I think we're still progressing.
Good. It's busier.
Yes, it's
More
busy.
houses around.
Yep.
Yeah. More traffic on South
More
Shore.
traffic.
Occasional traffic jams coming out of off 103A onto 103.
Yeah.
Can be. What makes living in this area special to you as you think back over the years and today?
Just that it's a nice, quiet, reasonably quiet town that.
Yep.
It's very friendly and.
Good neighbors.
People support each other. Yeah. Are there any local stories or legends from Newbury that you can think of?
Not that I can
No.
think of.
How about local traditions or gatherings that are memorable?
The Grange used to be a gathering and things like that, but there wasn't a whole lot of activity in the town.
Ham and bean suppers?
Ham and bean suppers.
Oh, all the potluck suppers we had at the church.
Oh yeah, we used to have potluck suppers at the church.
At the Friendship House? Yeah. Because your family's been here a very long time, did you hear stories growing up about what the old days were like in Newbury, maybe before electricity came?
Not a whole lot.
No.
We didn't dwell on that. The fact that they didn't used to have electricity.
It must have come in when you were very little, or when you were.
I was pretty young. I don't remember it happening, so I think it probably happened.
Okay.
Didn't the farm have gas lights?
They had some gas lights.
And did you have a bathroom, or did they have a bathroom when you first? when you were
No,
little?
we had a little outhouse out
Outhouse?
in the shed.
Yeah.
We never liked going out in winter.
No, it must be cold.
What's the bathroom now? Was a bedroom? Where the
The
bathroom?
bathroom is where the bathroom is now was a bedroom.
Was a bedroom.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms in the house.
There were.
Wow. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think we should talk about? Not that you can think of. And the last question, what would you say about life in Newbury to future generations?
Treasure it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marion.
You're welcome.